More thrills, spills, and chills await as Spider-Man graduates high school. And later, Order-By-Mail Monkeys? Hard to believe, right? I'm James Heyer, and here's the monkey on my back, Enrique Ramirez. And joining us, Schaefer Bonner by phone. This is True Belivers. All right. This is True Belivers. I'm James Heyer.
And I'm Enrique. And James, I must say, those intros are getting better and better every week.
I know. That's what college does. You can learn how to write intros.
What was that noise? What was that noise?
What was that? Hey, is someone on that phone? Who is that over there? Why, it's Schaefer Bonner.
Back by popular demand. I mean, I got phone calls, I got letters, mails.
All from Schaefer.
Yes. Please bring me back.
He's like, please let me back on your show, guys.
We embarrassed him so much the last time we had to bring him back.
Hey, have you seen Thor recently, Schaefer?
I am your guy's best fan, also only fan.
Oh,
that's not. Hey, we've got at least two other people who watch our show,
and I could name them: my mom and George.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you back, Schaefer. I know we give you hard time, but it's always a joy to have you back. Sometimes without you, I feel a little confused.
Well, it's good to be back. What's the topic today, James?
The topic for today is we're actually going to start off by just going through Spider-Man issue 28. This is the one where he graduates. We're going to go into that, talk about that a little bit.
And
as
now
friends.
graduate!
And then after that, I figured I found an ad that you'd actually brought this up like a year ago. An ad in the comics with Order-By-Mail Monkey. But and I think you have a story about that. But we'll get to that. We'll go ahead and read the mail.
Stay tuned for monkey action.
Oh, does it give? Is there lots of monkey action?
It does. In fact, you could say it's more fun than a barrel of monkeys.
Oh, buzzing.
Oh,
I don't know. All right, let's go through it.
Just like the old True Believers bullpen. So stay tuned.
Yes. All right, here we go. It starts off in this issue. What's funny is for such a milestone issue, I mean, this is pretty big. Peter Parker graduating high school is pretty big. But we have kind of a lackluster B-list villain for this. This is the first appearance of Molten Man.
Molten Man.
Who in later issues will be revealed to be Liz Allen's brother. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Liz Allen's brother.
Yeah.
I think you said it best there, Schaefer.
Do you know the Molten Man? The Molten Man.
I actually like Liz Allen, but
Now, Liz Allen's an alright character. She kind of serves a purpose. But in this issue starts off where in like very exciting. It starts off with Peter walking by the principal he'd just been in the principal's office the previous day for getting in a fight with Flash Thompson. And we all know that Peter Parker would beat the shit out of Flash Thompson if he'd ever just do it. But
of course.
you know, and that's the thing. It's just, and he kind of did once before in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
But it's just like, just beat this guy up. He deserves it. What's funny is though, when Peter was sent in the previous.
On the other hand, though, he actually does beat Flash Thompson up in
The hell is
not
that?
great movie that just came out earlier in 2012.
Does he?
And it was terrible to watch.
You know, I saw that movie twice and I was drunk both times.
They never
So.
beat up Flash Thompson in these old comics.
What's really interesting, actually, this isn't interesting, but
We're going to talk
in
about
this,
it anyway.
in the previous,
Anyway,
in the previous issue, Flash Thompson is when Peter was sent to the principal's office, Flash Thompson kind of manned up and told the principal, "Hey, look, this wasn't all Peter's fault. I'd instigated it. I started the fight, and he shouldn't take the full blame for it." So, I mean, that's kind of
actually a good guy, low-key. He's just,
he just hates Peter for some reason. But I mean, that's kind of this is kind of the thing that a lot of stuff back then wasn't like getting really into. I mean, it's some pretty good character development, and Liz Allen is pissed off as both of them for some reason. But so she's pissed off. Yeah, typical women. Females just can't understand them.
There's a line in here that says, "Damn, bitch, are you always on the rag?"
Well, Stanley never actually, it's a little known fact, but Stanley never actually talked to a girl. Never seen one. Grew up in seclusion. So his image of women is actually very distorted. It comes through in these early comics.
You know, that's actually quite true among most comic book writers.
It was a stereotype, but it's kind of true.
I'm guessing we're gonna lose a few viewers with that one.
Ooh. You mean one of the three might leave?
I love Steve Ditko. I really love these early comic books, but if your listeners can, I'm looking at the first few panels here right now, and I'm reminded Steve Ditko is really hit and miss on his panels. Like, you can have one good panel, and then you have another one where you realize Steve Ditko doesn't know how to draw anatomy, and like Spider-Man's foot is crooked, or like his arm bends the wrong way.
See,
and there's a really creepy picture where it's just Peter Parker smiling at the principal, and he's got like the weirdest. He looks like
I see
he
that.
looks like zombie Dick Clark. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna point out that.
He looks like.
I was gonna point out.
Plastic Dick Clark. That's what he looks like.
Well, I was gonna point out that that's probably why Flash hated him. Look at his stupid face.
Look at his face.
you know, you gotta realize though. I mean, these guys. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, this was fairly low budget at this point. They didn't have a whole lot of people helping. I mean, it's pretty much Steve Ditko, and he has an inker and a letterer that helps him. And Stan Lee fills in the bubbles, and that's about it. I mean, if you look at other comics, there are a lot of other people who will do finishes, who will. So I mean, that's not entirely fair. But I do get what you're saying though. It is pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
Just something about his face.
I love it. I love that it is kind of low budget. It gives it kind of a more aggressive, put together feel, kind of an energy that you wouldn't have with a more refined comic. But Steve Ditko is one of my favorite artists. He's definitely got a style though, where some things can be kind of distorted sometimes.
Yeah. No, I really like Steve Ditko too. He's one of my favorites as well. In this issue, he comes into This has been going on for 3 issues now, where he has lost his original costume, so he had to buy a cheap Halloween knockoff that doesn't fit correctly. So finally, he found out that
He went into a local novelty shop and bought a Spider-Man costume.
Do you have any Spider-Man costumes?
So finally, he realizes that while not a truly evil guy, this guy's still kind of an adversary. I'll say his adversary, Professor Smythe, the robot inventor, has his costume for some reason. So he goes over there, and of course the robot right away knows that he's Spider-Man, and it attacks him. And Professor Smythe, being the genius that he is like, "Why did that attack you?" "Oh, it's because you're carrying a jar of spiders."
Of course. And Peter Parker responds, he has a thought bubble that for some reason is in yellow. I guess Peter thought this in yellow. I was afraid this might happen. And he possesses this jar of spiders. And Dr. Smythe is like, well, of course, because I programmed the robot to attack anything that has to do with spiders.
So, can you imagine, spiders are everywhere. I mean, they're in everyone's house.
This
that
machine's
thing
going
is just
crazy.
Destroying New York, because there's
must kill spiders. Well, there's a thought bubble here. It's like, oh, good thing I keep that bottle of spiders up my ass at all times.
Well, Dr. Smythe doesn't even say it just attacks spiders. It attacks anything to do with spiders. Spider hats, spider clothing, spider memorabilia.
Oh, if you draw a spider, it'll attack it.
Spider gin and juice. Oh, man, ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So then, of course, this guy, his lab assistant, of course, is an evil thug because all scientists will hire just some dim-witted thug as their lab assistant who will probably steal their equipment later. So he's like, I'm gonna steal this wonderful liquid metal alloy. It's worth a fortune, and I'm not waiting any longer to get my share. Now get out of my way! And he cold cuts Professor
Cold
Smythe.
cocks.
Sorry.
Cold. He
Sorry.
throws a Subway sandwich
Throws
at
a
his
sandwich
face.
at him. No, he punches Smythe right in the face.
Blow.
And then, meanwhile, Peter Parker is still being attacked by the robot, so he can't do shit.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy.
What about grabs him again?
Oh,
The
yeah.
robot,
Okay.
They're struggling, and the guy pulls out a blackjack, and the robot switches on again and grabs him. Obviously, because he has something to do with spiders.
Yeah. Because he is a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, your way out
The
of
robot's
that.
like, you have something to... Has something to do with spiders. Must destroy. But, and then so, oh shit, this guy, this lab assistant, spills this wonderful liquid metal alloy all over himself. And, of course, instead of either getting burns or cancer, he becomes molten
That would
man.
eat through your bones and dissolve your skin, right?
Yeah.
And then you die.
Right.
Yes, in normal days,
Yes.
a normal human being.
But
that would
in
happen to.
comic book world, you become a molten man.
Molten Man,
All right.
gonna come to your house and molten your wife.
So Molten Man does like a bunch of evil deeds, like walking down the street and yelling at people to get out of his way. And Spider-Man's like, "Oh, can't have this shit." So Peter finally gets his costume. He somehow breaks away from the robot, puts his real costume on, and then he attacks Molten Man. Meanwhile,
Molten Man.
what's really confusing though is like earlier in the issue, I forgot to mention like they're talking about graduation's almost here. But it seems like the way time is flowing that graduation is this afternoon because by the end of this storyline, he's like, I gotta get home to graduate. But so he fights Molten Man.
But you still
and
graduate even if you're not there.
Molten Man
right?
strips off his clothes.
Oh
and
yeah,
they still
Schaefer, you'd
fight.
like this.
Jesus.
So they're still fighting. Then they go down to the basement where it's dark. Luckily, Spider-Man has his spider sense, so he can kind of figure out where Molten Man is. And he hog ties him.
Spider sense is good for two things in the dark: fighting and, well, you know,
Yeah. And there he is hog-tied.
doing your homework.
You're not just going to leave me here like this, are you? Don't worry, Raxie. You won't be lonely by the fuck it.
Words are hard.
I'm drunk. Okay, he says, "Don't worry, Raxie. You won't be lonely. They say the police are real good company." Man, that wasn't even worth reading. All right, so then in the next panel, he's swinging away and he says, "Sorry, I don't have time to stay and chat with them for a while, but I'm in a hurry. I wonder how many other fellas in my profession have to hurry home in time for their high school graduation." Oh, shoot. So he goes home to Aunt May. Are you following along, Schaefer?
Is this old hag dead
I'm
now?
following along. I'm on the same page.
All right.
The only
Thus,
thing that falls flatter than Spidey's dialogue is your delivery.
Boom.
damn.
Snaps.
So then he's at Aunt May's house, and thus a short time later, at this happy, humble, mortgaged home of Peter Parker, Aunt May, aren't you ready yet? The graduation ceremony starts in a little while. You run along, Peter dear. The what? No. So
It was your Uncle Ben
Uncle Ben's dead. Oh, no! Who did he evacuate? So then, this is actually, we're making fun, but it's actually pretty sweet. She says,
I don't like this stuff.
she's joking. She's like, oh, I wouldn't be late to my own nephew's graduation.
Did I
Oh,
graduate?
Peter.
You're the only other person I know.
All my friends died
Back
40
in
years ago.
1906. So then he's at graduation, and this is actually one of my favorite parts. He's sitting by Flash, and both he and Flash get scholarships to ESU. So don't worry, readers, we'll get more Flash in college years.
Yay!
Flash gets a athletic scholarship, of course. Peter gets an academic, but and then of course, guess who the guest speaker is? None other than J. Jonah Jameson.
Triple J.
As the principal points out,
Get away from this guy.
the principal says our guest speaker is that great civic leader and journalist, Mr. J. Jonah Jameson, publisher of the Daily Bugle. And in the background, there's a collective groan coming from the entire graduation class, which I think is really funny. But so he rambles on for an hour, I guess, and then finally that's over, and everyone looks really pissed because they had to sit through that crap. And then this is where it gets interesting, or not interesting, but he starts talking to Liz Allen, who he was never really in a relationship with her. He was actually more in a relationship with Betty Brant.
There were only two ships passing the night. They never quite got together.
Yeah. And but Liz had always had a thing for Peter, and right
Bet
here,
she did.
Mm-hmm. And right here, he's trying to figure out, what's her deal and what she's doing, and she says,
What's wrong, bitch?
"You always thought of me as just a dizzy blonde, and perhaps I am, but it's time for me to graduate out of that part of my life also."
Oh God.
I really like that. So she leaves. She leaves,
That's
and
deep stuff.
yeah, it is. It's pretty deep.
It's pretty boring.
So she leaves. Aunt May thinks J. Jonah Jameson is a great guy because Aunt May's an idiot. And the last panel, I just love the last panel. It's,
she likes JJ. Let me point out she also married
Dr. Octopus.
So she likes just about anybody.
Yeah, she does marry Dr. Octopus for a time.
So she's kind of a whore.
Did she actually marry
No,
Dr.
she's
Octopus?
just stupid.
I can't remember.
They had a wedding, but it must have been annulled because Spider-Man and Hammerhead fuck it up. So I don't.
No, because it was never consummated.
Yeah, they never consummated. Thank God.
I bet she missed out on some hot octopus
Thank
action.
God.
Ugh. Ugh. See, I always consider that, and it's not the first.
Actually, James, they did consummate it in a spin-off comic called The Invisible Spider-Man, issue number 2.
What?
That showed the off-screen action. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, I always liked. I always considered that. Now, it's not the first bad issue of Spider-Man. I'd say the first bad issue is probably actually the Centennial issue, the 100th issue, the one where he gains or the one where he becomes a 6-armed freak. That's terrible. But I would say that the one, and this is probably issue 130 something, where Aunt May and Dr. Octopus had their wedding, might be the issue where Spider-Man officially jumps the shark. At that point, it's just, there were some good storylines after that, but really at that point, it's something about that just kind of changed after that. It just, not good.
It would have made more sense if she married the Rhino.
I mean, it was a turning point, definitely not for the better. It was just kind of a little bit. It was a little bit far-fetched, but not in a way that the earlier far-fetched episodes were. It was more kind of a market that was going in a different direction. But as getting back to this comic, I like at the end there's kind of a few panels talking about how Peter is going away from school and really spelling out for the reader that this is a landmark in the series. And I think after this, it really goes a different way. And Peter, when Peter goes to college, and I'm not sure if all fans know this, when Peter goes to college, he really kind of grows up. Like, his character changes. He's not the nerd that he was in college. Or in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of becomes cool. I think he buys a moped. You know,
Yeah,
that's
gets a
cool.
girlfriend.
Actually, it's an actual
Girlfriends.
it's an actual bike in the comics. It wasn't a moped like in the movies.
Yeah, get your facts straight.
Is it a motorcycle? I can't remember.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it looks like a Vespa or something. Which I guess isn't that cool. But I can't remember what it is.
He really becomes cool. And I think that's one thing that they didn't have when the Spider-Man movies and Sam Raimi didn't develop for some reason. But when Spider-Man goes to college, you know, he's kind of a cool guy. Like, he kind of grows up.
Riding his Vespa around the city.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I wish they would have gotten that a little bit more right, but those movies are pretty darn good.
Tobey Maguire just like stays in there. He just stays this like weird for all three movies.
Well, it's either that or the Andrew Garfield movies. Which one would you choose?
Oh God, that is not even a contest.
I mean,
Andrew Garfield had some. He was an okay Spider-Man, but as a Peter Parker, he doesn't really capture the character as well as Tobey Maguire.
right. Well, let's read some mail. Are you ready for some web mail?
Boom.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna enlarge this real quick.
Oh, the mail or
The mail.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right. If you're wondering what's next in store for Spidey, welcome to the club, because we're wondering the same thing. But this much we can be sure of. He'll meet new friends and enemies at Empire State University, and he'll also encounter the same old ones. He'll face tragedies and triumphs, happiness and heartbreaks. For, after all, he isn't that much different than we, especially if we also happen to have any superpowers lying around the house.
Oh,
But
Stan.
enough maudlin sentiment. Now on to our spider scribblings.
Scribbling.
If I was a kid in the early '60s, I would be so excited to read next month's Spider-Man.
All right, well, I guess I'll read the first one. Dear Stan and Steve, oops, I goofed. Reading Spider-Man number 24, I suspected Dr. Reinhardt was an old foe of Spidey in disguise, and at once jumped to the wrong conclusion. I was certain he was the chameleon. How wrong could I be? Later, while reading, okay, he doesn't mention it, but it was not the chameleon. It was actually Mysterio.
Oh.
Later, while rereading X-Men number 10, I had an interesting thought. Peter Parker's Aunt May has been trying to get him a blind date for the longest time. Why not have Peter consent? Or let's see. Yeah, why not have Peter consent? When the girl arrives, it's Jean Grey, aka Marvel Girl, who's visiting her aunt. This will give them both. Huh?
Okay.
This will give both Betty Brant and Liz Allen and also the X-Men something new to worry about. The
Spider
difference in
babies.
their crime-busting talents should prove a suitable basis for our new thrills and excitement as both Spider-Man and Marvel Girl go in action. Give the idea some thought, please. It will be a change from the Human Torch, Spider-Man's regular guest star. All right, that's from L.L. Simpson in Tyler, Texas.
Very nice.
Okay, L.L., we'll think about it because we're all hard. But it's funny the way so many fans write to mention that the Torch is Spidey's regular guest star. As far as we can remember, we haven't used him in a long time. It seems like when old Hothead does appear, he really comes on strong.
Oh, there's all sorts of like sexual references in this one.
He and Marvel Girl are gonna go at it.
Have spider
Hothead
babies.
comes on strong.
You want
Being
this?
from the future, I actually know who his grandpa or his aunt is staying up with.
Oh yeah.
And it's way better than it just being Marvel Girl. But okay, LL.
You want this next one, Schaefer?
I'll take it.
Well, hold on. Before we go, she says Mary Jane has already been mentioned at this point before. I mean, it's not fucking Marvel
Yeah,
Girl,
and
dude.
you kind of see her silhouette. Like, they really keep Mary Jane, like, in the back burner for a long time, like, foreshadowing.
It takes
Mary
like
Jane
3 years before you
don't
see her.
yet.
That's actually one of my favorite. We might actually post a picture of this, even though it's from a different comic. But that's one of my favorite. Is when Betty Brant and Liz Allen are both going to go to Peter's house to give him a piece of their mind because he's been kind of playing the field with both of them, and they already hate each other. So they're gonna go to his house, and then they meet Aunt May's there, and she's like, "Oh, I'd like to introduce you to Mary Jane," and all you see is their expression, which is just like sadness and just utter disappointment and just defeat is what it is. It's defeat on the look of their faces, and you can't see Mary Jane's face. There's like a lampshade or something in the way, but she's just like, "Hello, girls," and it's like, okay. Yeah, and then they both just walk away very sad because they know that she's pretty damn hot.
Yeah.
It's
I was
pretty
hoping
funny.
you'd
I
say
like how this comic, the bombshell model wannabe Mary Jane meets Aunt May, and she says, "Oh, you should meet my nerdy evasive nephew." And she's like, "Sure, yeah. I don't have anything better to do."
he's smart.
We'll probably do. That'll probably be our next Spider-Man movie.
Constantly disappoints me. Oh,
But
yeah.
I was hoping when she said, "Here's meet Mary Jane," and she holds out a spliff. That would have been nice.
That might be our next topic. Is just Mary Jane, like the early introductions of Mary Jane.
We could do a whole episode about that.
We could do an entire podcast about Mary Jane.
Are we talking about comic books?
Sky's the limit.
Okay. We could also do an entire podcast about Mary Jane, but not from the comics. Sure. Okay.
All right, Schaefer, you're up.
Dear Stan and Steve, here we go. Dear Stan and Steve, well, you did it again in Spider-Man number 24. Spider-Man goes mad. You reach new heights of realism, irony, thrills, and suspense. Yes, I guess Reinhardt was a fake and that he was hoaxing Spidey, but it didn't detract from the story in the slightest. Art-wise, the story did the usual fine job. Particular kudos in order for the 7th panel of page 22. Wow, he's really specific. It conveyed the essence. Oh my God. It conveyed the essence of raw terror. But I need to find this panel now. It conveys the essence of raw terror. I hope you haven't used up all the ways to make Spidey miserable. If Spidey doesn't suffer, then the story quality does. Signed, Brian Yates, 1094 Chestnut Street of Newton, Mass. Boy, I'm going to find that Brian Yates and give him a piece of my mind. I got his house number now. Can you imagine if kids wrote into a magazine these days and they published the house number of the street the kids live on?
I can't believe they did that back then. Nowadays, since anyone could just bring an AR-13 and just go over to their house if you don't agree with
Let's
them.
not get political here.
I'm not getting political. I'm just stating a fact. It's really, I would want to kill this guy.
What's the response there, Shafe?
Here's the response. Now hold on, Brian. You don't think we try to make our little web spinner suffer, do you? Perish forbid. He managed to get into trouble despite anything we can do. Gosh, pretty soon you'll start accusing us of making these stories up. Well, I agree with them. I think if Superman is the modern day Moses of comic books, then Spider-Man is Job and Wolverine is Enoch.
Shut up.
That's all I can say about that. You want to take the next one, old rakish Rick?
Yeah, sure.
All right, laughing boy.
Here we go. I'm going to laugh my way all through this. Dear Stan and Steve, out of all this month's issues, Spider-Man number 24 was the best of them all. Spider-Man Goes Mad is one of the...
Next page.
Go to the next page here. Best written stories I have ever read. Wow. That surprise ending really shocked me. We must give Mysterio credit. He has devised some of the most fantastic plans to defeat Spider-Man. This is the best I've ever seen to this day. What a scheme. It almost worked. Only Doctor Doom has created equally astounding plots. This is the type of story you should have more of. Mystery. Good job, Stan. I say Mysterio created the best plan to defeat Spidey. More Mysterio, please. More mysteries, please. It's a change of pace. Just think, if not for Jameson, and then it ends. That's from.
Wow.
Yeah.
If not for Jameson.
That comes
Thank
from.
God for Jameson.
That comes from Vincent Stewart from Detroit, Michigan.
He's actually referring to the alcohol, not the character of Spider-Man. That's the only way you can enjoy these miserable plotline. And I think what's funny is think about this. I think the fans are really excited about Mysterio, but you know that they would be equally as happy if it turned out to be Doctor Doom,
Vulture, Rick James,
Rick Jones.
Rick James is more interesting.
Actually, Rick James would be better. Yeah. Like, Dr. Reinhardt, you're Rick James all along. Diabolical.
Here's what Stan writes. Stan writes, shut up. Next, he says, okay, Vince, we'll try to cook up a few more mysteries for you, but you know us, by the time we reach the end of the story, we'll probably forget who the villain is ourselves. You idiot.
Right.
Probably because of all the drugs they're doing in that freaking
bullpen.
In the bullpen.
Think about all the drugs we're doing in this bullpen. Man.
Your love is my drug, James.
As is yours to mine. Wait.
What?
Oh,
no.
All right. Oh, no. All right. Dear Stan and Steve, after reading Spider-Man number 23, I thought it might be to my advantage to find out what kind of detergent Spidey uses when washing his costume. I was pleased.
This sounds like an ad.
I was pleased with the results he got on his costume and thought that he might share his secret with me. One thing you can say for Mr. Spider-Man, he has the cleanest wash in town. Oh, that's from Ronald Miller, and surprise, he's from Iowa.
The response is here's the response. Dear Ronald, are you fucking crazy?
Dear Ronald, go back to the cornfields. Don't ask us what detergent Spidey uses, Ron. Ask Aunt May. You can usually find her behind that nutty washing machine of hers that cleans as if it's 10 feet tall. I love how they're still like in awe of these things called washing machines.
It cleans as if it's 10 feet tall. But I'm glad that he points out that washing is women's work.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. If Aunt May does Spider-Man's laundry and he throws his Spider-Man outfit in the laundry, Aunt May is really dumb not to figure this out right now.
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
It's a really good point.
Stanley just fucked up his own comic book.
It's just Peter's Spider-Man costume.
Oh, my poor heart can't take it.
He likes to role play with the girls.
I hate that card they throw all the time. Like, oh, Aunt May's heart can't take it.
He likes to cosplay as a superhero.
I dress up as Thor. All right, Schaefer, you got the next one.
All right, dear Stan Steve, you once said, since when do we have competitors? I'll tell you, ever since you were on the stand, I think that your so-called superheroes are terrible.
Dang.
In fact, they're all copies except Spider-Man. Ooh, somebody's finally calling them out. Don't think that I have just read one or two of your comics. I've read over 50, and I can tell you, you guys suck balls. No, I read over 50 of them. I get them all so I can read your letters pages. They're the only good thing in your comics. Oh.
Boom.
Snap. This is Edward Brumby, 2423 Greenway, Raleigh, North Carolina.
That was pretty
Stan's
rough.
response, man, he's really calling him out. And Marvel is guilty of copying, but well, let's let them defend themselves here. Can't make us mad, Eddie boy. We don't care if you get them, it's just as long as you like to pull out the staples, just so long as you keep getting them.
Boom.
He doesn't care as long as he's making money. There you go. I think Ed Brumby is the idiot for buying it if he hates it so much. I can imagine some smarmy guy in the 60s, probably looks like James. He's like,
Schaefer.
This comic is terrible. But it reminds me, there's a panel, it was in the first Spider-Man annual, where they show the Marvel method. I think you guys have talked about it before.
Yeah.
It shows I think Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
No, it's Steve
kind of a
Ditko.
comic of how they put it together. And one of them, Jack Kirby looks up and he's like, Stan, these stories are terrible. And Stan Lee looks back and he's like, how is that possible? I copied them off the best classics.
Yeah, that's actually it's Stan and Steve. Steve's the one who says that. But yeah, that's pretty.
Oh, is it Steve Ditko?
Yeah.
Okay, Stan, Steve Ditko. Thanks, James.
Get your names right.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sorry.
I copied them off the best literature. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for all the letters. There's a couple more, but instead of spanking our monkeys reading them, I figured we'd spank our monkeys while talking about monkeys. In this ad, this is a very popular ad in most Marvel comics from the era. Darling pet monkey. This squirrel monkey makes an adorable pet and companion. Almost human with its warm eyes, your family will love it. These young monkeys grow about 12 inches high, eats same food as you, even likes lollipops.
Aww.
Simple to care for and train. Live delivery guaranteed. Only $18.95 express collect. Mail check or money order for $18.95 to Animal Farm Department, Massachusetts Box 1042, Miami Beach, Florida. Now, again, and over here it says $18.95. Free cage, free leather collar and leash, free toy and instructions included with each monkey. Loads of fun and amusement.
I wonder why this stopped.
I think my favorite thing about it is, I'm not sure if my favorite thing is the little adorable suit he's wearing in the ad and the cute smile he has, or is it the fact that it encourages you to feed him lollipops, which I'm sure is bad for monkeys.
Well,
but then I also like that this is probably the best part. Guaranteed live delivery. So if you get a dead monkey in the box, do you get your money back? Is that how that works?
well, you get your money back and a broken heart.
Well, I'm glad you guys had me on the show because I really wanted to talk about this one. Because the best part of these old comics is not just the storylines, but you can see the culture, the comic book culture in the comic books. And this ad is truly something else. I mean, just the live delivery guarantee, and you said it before, it's like, that conjures up an image in my mind of this little boy so excited by the mail delivery. He goes to open up to find his pet monkey and finds a dead primate in the box. That alone is just a priceless image to me.
I have a couple of theories.
What kind of world was it in the 60s and early 70s? You could buy a monkey through the mail.
I'm thinking this was a scam. You send your money, you don't get anything. It was.
No?
I
I'll tell you, you're wrong, Enrique.
Oh, really?
And here's why. When I found this, I laughed, and I think your listeners are gonna laugh when they hear about it. But I asked my mom because I was like, when I find something that's just like baffling like this, I asked someone from an older generation. I'm like, can you explain how stupid you were back then, or how stupid people were back then? And turns out she actually knew someone who got one of these darling pet monkeys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long did it
And,
last?
well, longer than it was welcome. Because, well, the picture here is a little misleading because it shows like a monkey wearing human clothes and smiling. And in reality, we all know that monkeys are wild animals.
Oh, yeah.
So she knew a family that was in her neighborhood in Chanute, Kansas, and they actually got the monkey, and it was wild. It was it was a feral monkey, and it would live in the basement and just kind of attack people, and it smelled really bad.
You mean it didn't roll joints for him or get him beer or anything?
It didn't eat lollipops. It would bite you though.
Oh shit!
So I hear being bit by a squirrel monkey is like it bites really quickly, like a sewing machine down your arm.
Ouch!
Just chomp, 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 chomp. Well, anyway, it's a wild animal, and probably sending one through the mail is not very smart. But I did a little research, and it turns out that they would come in a box, like the size of a shoebox, and from Florida, and with just like a little bit of wire mesh.
Oh God!
For so it could breathe, and then there was a little leash in it.
So right off,
So
when
that
you
was
get it,
the
they're
free
pissed
cage
off.
and leash.
Oh my God!
There's a cage.
There's also an ad that it's also pretty funny if you can find it. There's also an ad that was pretty popular that they sold teacup monkeys, and that picture is amazing too. It shows a little monkey sitting in a teacup that's like looking at the camera and smiling.
Hello. I'm gonna shit in your house, all over your house. I hope you like monkey pee. I wonder how many of these things sold and why it ended. I mean, I can imagine why it ended, but
I looked it up, and I guess it never was a very popular item. I mean, they ran the ads, but I wouldn't say they said that they didn't get a lot of response from these, and they had a lot of returns.
oh, I bet dead returns.
Mostly due to parents' response. I can imagine it's
I wonder
like
if they resold those returns. Like they get a monkey return and they're like, put them in this box and ship them to these people in Sarasota.
I was gonna or to like food carts.
Send them to the dog food factories.
Oh God!
Send them to the hot dog. Oscar Mayer needs more hot dog meat.
Hot dog. So what did they do with the monkey?
How do you fit that monkey back in the box? That's gotta be a.
Well, you give it a bunch of NyQuil. You give it a bunch of NyQuil. Oh, what did they do with the monkey eventually?
Get the monkey drunk. Well, then you'd have the embarrassment of taking it to the post office and having to buy postage, and they'd have to weigh it. The monkey's crying inside.
What did they end up doing with the monkey?
As far as I know, it just lived in their basement. It was a feral creature that no one really liked.
Just wait for it to die.
Burrowed in there.
It'll die in a few days.
I read online that they had a lot of returns. I can imagine it kind of like the Beavis and Beaver episode where they get the monkey and then the kid finds out it's a bad idea and the father's like, well, Wally, guess you gotta pack up that fucking monkey and send it back. They're like, oh, Dad, you always know best.
Well, like with monkeys.
Well, Wally, it's time to shoot this rabid monkey. Oh, gee, Dad, I'll get my own 22. Thanks, Dad.
Well, with monkeys, you imagine cleaning up after a dog and a cat. You clean up their shit, but
Oh, the beef.
monkeys are probably. I bet this monkey would rub feces all over the walls and piss everywhere, and it would just be awful. I think I would have killed this thing.
I would have killed it.
It's a wild animal.
I would have killed it and then ate it.
James is a man's man, by the way.
Oh, I can't wait to eat that monkey. Well, Schaefer, got any more monkey stories?
Not this time. Maybe next time I'll share some more monkey stories. Let me just point out that the monkey, the darling pet monkey, quote unquote, is just one of many bad ideas found in the back of these comic books. Along with X-ray glasses, and another one of my favorites is your own working submarine, which turned out to just be a cardboard box, which I'm sure led to many drownings in the late 60s.
Well, thank you, Schaefer. Your insight is always is always welcome here. I think that pretty much wraps it up for a show.
I just wanted to point out that we were being too raucous where we're recording at. We were recording at a library, and we had to pause for a moment because we were being too loud.
You know how much money I gave to WSU when I went here?
Some preteen, no, she was probably in her early 20s. We could have took her.
We could have.
She's probably still listening to us.
Well, anyway, I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Next week.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise. We don't know what we're doing.
To us.
Well, anyway, thank you, Schaefer. This is James Hire and Enrique signing off.